What do you want to be remembered for? Get a chair. Let's talk. So the word identity means a set of traits or characteristics that make a thing or a person unique, distinct, and recognizable. So there are two facets of identity. There's external identity and there's internal identity. External identity is mostly administrative. You have a government name, you have a unique identification number, also depending on the government you're under. But then there's internal identity. This is you finding yourself, the essence of your existence, the core of your purpose, and all the good stuff. This identity can be communicated through certain mediums. For example, businesses have branding. They can use a certain logo, a certain set of colors, a certain type of messaging. Individuals have maybe their style choices, the hairstyle you have, the tattoo that you have, the choice of clothes you wear. And musicians have what we call a sound. A sound is defined as the unique musical fingerprint of an artist. Episode 913, Falling in Love with the Production Process.
No mixing or engineering yet, but every time I'm like, I don't think this sounds right.
There's something that sounds off.
Yeah, this one needs to, maybe you can do, in my layman's term at that point, I'm just trying to explain what I feel needs to be done. Or I oversee recordings of other instruments. So if it's percussion, I am the one who has to be there. Since then, if it's another bass player, even another guitarist, I have to be there. It can't go on without me.
Did that album have keyboards?
No, zero. We used to hate the keyboard. Okay,
What?
I personally, and the boys know, like I used to hate it. They just used to bring a sound that I didn't like. But that was just me. And eventually got to, properly define what it is that I want. So even being the band director for Sauti for all these years, I kind of want a specific sound or specific style of playing when it comes to a keyboard player.
You are creating the sound for Sauti Sol in a sense. So you don't want that just because we're adding more instruments. How do we maintain our authenticity?
Exactly, yeah. That was actually my main concern, to be honest. It's like, it's already so beautiful as it is that whatever is coming in has to add value, not remove from it.
By this time, they've already found themselves. And if you listened to Amani CTA, you'll understand how crippling it can be to not have discovered your sound as an artist by the time you start releasing music. So, and basically this is also what Nameless calls a formula. So they'd found themselves, they'd found their sound, they'd found their formula, and they were willing to protect that at all costs. On one end, it is refusing to add certain instruments because they did not want to corrupt the essence of their sound. And on the other end, it's refusing to bow down to the culture at the time.
And please remember, live is new.
Yeah.
I'm not, especially at this time, it's not everybody who was doing live. Very few people.
We went through at venues, trying to explain to someone that this is what we need. This is the technical rider. If you don't provide this, we really can't perform. We don't perform with CDs. We do live. And we don't know any other way. This is what we know. So if you do not have these mics, if you do not have these amplifiers, if you do not have a backline is now what is on stage. Monitors, drum set if needed, mics for percussions, mics for singing, and plugging the guitar. If you don't have this, we can't perform. And we were called to Thika to perform, and we sent the technical rider and everything, and then we get there, there's nothing. So yes, the guy, but we thought you knew what we were doing. Like, you don't know who Sauti Sol is. Like, I thought you were a choir. Imagine, so you're like, I thought you were a choir. So what do you need? You just need your voices, right? I'm like, wow. So we had to send for sound from Nairobi, quick to come to Thika before it's late, so that we can perform.
What?
So those are the kind of
challenges
crazy challenges. And then also we are a live band in the pop scene. Because now we're coming from the generation of Kenyan music, the Ogopa DJs and Caliph, and it's just being on stage. Of course, great performers, but their style of performing is different from
Very
ours.
different.
Yeah, so for us now to ask for different things, we're on the same stage with an Ogopa DJ artist.
The same stage as Juakali.
Yeah. So we can't do with a track. We don't even have beats. So for them to understand, it's like, oh, but okay, that makes you guys very expensive. Like, but you get the value. So just breaking that barrier of pop artists playing with a live band was such a hassle.
As we started, I asked you, what do you want to be remembered for? And this brings up the conversation of legacy versus relevance. Nowadays, platforms are being handed out like rain in the Amazon. It's very common. You just have an opinion, you have a camera, start talking, and you'll be popular, you'll be relevant, depending on what you want to communicate about. But I want you to ask yourself, are you building a legacy or are you chasing relevance? Now, relevance sounds like something nice because it's a fancy word, but relevance in this context can also mean clout. It can mean being viral, your name being on the lips of many people. I saw someone say that I wish I knew I didn't have to work hard, I just needed to be shameless. But sometimes shame is a good thing. So, whatever it is you want to be remembered for, are you going to build a long-lasting legacy? Or are you going to compromise that legacy for a few months, weeks, days of fame and relevance? Warren Buffett once said that regardless of talent, some things just take time. You cannot have a baby in 1 month by making 9 women pregnant. So again, I ask, what do you want to be remembered for?
We were nobodies at that time. And even though we had sung about this coffee restaurant rather, they didn't really feel like the need to be part of it. Because I didn't want to do it with them. Yeah, so they didn't feel the need.
So of course you went and asked them, can we shoot this at your location?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, who are you guys?
Yeah. So like, okay, it's cool. So that's why in the video, it's a creation of a coffee.
Java, but give upcoming guys a chance.
No, but granted, they have been playing, or rather they play
Your
our
album.
albums all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Since that time, I guess maybe they're like, oh snap.
That's because you
we missed.
popularized them.
Yeah,
That's
true that.
That's
True
the
that.
least they can do.
That's true. That's true.